Jim Eason is a pretty special man in my life. He was definitely a pivotal point in my life in the accounting curriculum at Coastal. I don't think if it was for him I would have made it through the accounting program, and I can definitely say Intermediate 2 was the class that he gave me some motivation I'll never forget.
Jim Eason is the prime example of what a teacher, educator, a professor, an advisor should strive to be. He is one who cares about his students, he cares about the education they get, and he cares about them as a person.
When I think of Jim Eason, I think of one of those few instructors throughout my college career that just didn't need a book to teach. He just had that special connection. He knew his subject material so much inside and out.
All you had to do was go up to him after class and say, hey, I didn't get this, or don't really understand this, or how did we get this answer? And oh, he was more than happy to just be sure that you just understood everything before you left his classroom.
Not only did I enjoy Jim as a professor, but outside of the classroom as well. Some of our best memories that we've had were riding on the Waccamaw River together in the boat. That's probably one of my fondest memories, but Jim was always outgoing with all of his students, a very energetic teacher.
I remember the first test I got back from him in the class. He handed them out at the end of class, and I think there was probably 40 people in this class. It was Intermediate 1. The average grades were in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, and I'd gotten a 78, and I was real proud of the 78 because there were people in the back of the classroom talking about getting 40s, and I remember when he handed me the test back, he said, he looked at me and said, what happened? And I said, what do you mean? I got a 78, this is great. And I think it sunk in after the class, what his expectations were for me.
I do remember, I think it was Intermediate 2 again, that I had a very, very bad habit of going back and changing my answers once I filled in a bubble. So if I chose A, I'd go back and erase and choose C. And I remember, I think it was my third exam of that class, before he handed me my exam back, he took it, rolled it up in a ball, and whacked me across the head and told me to stop changing my answers because I was costing myself at least 10 points every test.
He would get so excited about what he was teaching. He'd get so wrapped up in it, so involved in it. He'd be writing on the chalkboard and just huffing and puffing and trying to teach us and looking back at us and making sure we were all following, and we'd all be so, excited, listening, taking our notes or whatever. And then right in the middle of teaching, he'd drop the chalk, he'd walk out the door, and he'd walk out in the hall because he had to go catch his breath.
He taught me that you can make up for anything by working hard and studying hard, and he taught me the study ethics that I needed.
And his style of teaching was so different from, a lot of the other instruction I received, throughout all of my years, not just at Coastal, but through grade school and everything. And that was really the piece for me. He really taught us how to sometimes just step back and realize that it's not as complicated, and sometimes you just have to realize how something works in the real world.
He was just a great mentor to many folks I run into, and they all say similar things, that Jim Eason had a huge impact on their life and on their career. So if you're listening, Jim, appreciate everything that you've done for me, and would not be here without you, buddy. Thank you.
Jim, I just want to thank you for everything you've done. You were an inspiration to me, and I do want to let you know that the next time we have lunch, it is your turn to buy.
There are many bright spots at Coastal, but you're definitely at the top for me. I can say I probably wouldn't be where I'm at had you not encouraged the way you encouraged. Wish you all the best. This is long overdue, and congratulations.
You showed all the common courtesy, you showed the enthusiasm to get me back in school and keep me in school and teach me how to study, and you showed not only that from an educator or professor side, but from a human side as well, that you really cared about people, you really cared about me. And I can't thank you enough for that.
Professor Eason, when I was growing up, I had a 4th grade teacher named Miss Ariel. And my entire life, I've never forgotten Mrs. Ariel. She was the best teacher I ever had until I came to Coastal Carolina University and had you as a professor. You are the best professor, teacher I ever had in my whole life. So you just made a big impact on my life, and I just want to thank you so much for caring about your students and for caring about Coastal Carolina the way that you did, because I feel like it's a professor like you that helped Coastal to be where it is today. And so thank you so much.